All right. Oh, have I been busy? I drove out to my P.O. box actually about a week and a half ago. I got something from Rule 13, and I already opened this on Christmas, and what she sent me was a shiitake mushroom thing. That's in maybe about 2 months or so. There'll be some fresh shiitake mushrooms in here. So I've already thanked her for this, and I drove out at my informed delivery. It let me know that I got something else from one of my Patreon supporters. So I went there, and this was in my P.O. box. Yeah, I have a new P.O. box because I'm in a different state. And this is what I got from Clock. Let me read you what he says. Just a treat to sweeten up the holidays. Merry Christmas from Clock. Well, thank you, Clock. He's chocolate. I've noticed they're all sending me stuff that's a violation of the low FODMAP diet. They're trying to get me off of this, I can tell. I really don't think I have a FODMAP problem. I mean, I don't have to be low FODMAP, but Lori McBride puts mites out there that gives me symptoms, abdominal symptoms, and she can control the symptoms with them. So that was very nice. Actually, she's making me cough right now. I see some low-lying clouds. Whenever you see really suspicious low-lying clouds, you're probably dealing with leftovers from a Lori McBride Nukaki. Let's see if I might be able to try one of these out. This looks interesting. Chocolate. He knows I like chocolate because he lives on Church of Gail, and he gets to sample all the homemade milk chocolate that I make. So let's check this out. Let's see what the ingredients are here. Oh. Milk chocolate with hazelnut, cocoa butter. You know, I'm not going to worry. I don't have a low FODMAP problem. It's, but you're going to try to get me fat, huh? This looks really good. Let me try one. I think I'll eat it in little bits and pieces. Oh, this looks really good. Yum. Which one is this? This is... Oh no, it fell on the floor. Rinse it off with water. I'll be right back. Hold on. Yeah. Oh, that Lori McBride. She uses brain control to cause me to drop things. Like when I put my key in the door, it's like my fingers just let go of it. It's her horrible brain control. Rinse it off with water. This is a... This is good. Thank you. Fattening too. I'm gonna have to eat this in moderation. Oh man, it's sweet. That's all I'm having for today. Yum, though, it's delicious. Moderation is the key. No more of that. All right. Apparently Clock isn't worried about me being fat. That's delicious though. It's going to be really hard to exercise moderation on that. It's good. It's delicious. I'm going to have a little bit more. I mean, he's a young man. He's like in his mid-20s. He doesn't realize that when a person gets to be my age, because I'm 64, we got to think about calories. If I wasn't out walking every day, I would look like a lot of my fellow Alabamians. Yeah. Oh. There are a lot of overweight Southerners, I've noticed. Actually did research to discover why that is. They don't have a lot of good walking trails around here, and they're not as big into exercise. Maybe it's because the weather's not always great, but I make sure if they all did the Gail commandments, I was talking about this with my Patreon supporters, that a lot of the people that live in the Bible Belt states seem to have low lifespans. Like longevity is really bad in these states. And I think it's because they're all overweight. They don't exercise and they like greasy foods. Anyways, moderation on this. I'm not having... That was delicious though. I'll have the rest later. Maybe tomorrow. I'm actually pretty disciplined when I make up my mind. But thank you, Clock. And thank you, Rule 13. And there's another package coming from Australia. And I suspect it's from Guy Jackman. That's a relative of Hugh Jackman, who's on my one of my Patreon supporters. And that's going to be arriving in a couple more days, so I'll have to drive out to my P.O. box to get that. Fortunately, I was able to figure out how to get informed delivery to work here. It took a while. I'm still getting used to, I'm still not done unpacking and organizing and doing Gail Commandments 2.0. Can you all see that right there? All those files, and you can see, you can kind of see the night sky from here, huh? Through my windows. Those files over there, yeah, you can't see the mountains, but those files over there, I'm going to be, and I finished the first file, and I have to go through 3 more, and I'm going to just be throwing out any files that I don't need on. Jesus said that I'm a hoarder, and he wants me to, let me shut this door now. He wants me to, and I'm wearing the beautiful jewelry that Brent got me, including this very expensive ring, which Jesus paid for. It's really interesting because this morning I had to work out on my glider because it was raining and I wasn't able to walk outside. And the weather report said we were supposed to have really bad weather tonight, like possible tornadoes. So I think Lori McBride was planning on doing Camnados 2.0, like she did several weeks ago in Kentucky, and she killed a bunch of people. She could win the Nobel Prize for murder. And I used my Gail Shield modulator to flick them away. I said, damage her attempts to do a Camnado for this. And look at them. It's like they're gone. It worked. So the Gail Shield is apparently working. It could have also been Jesus's penis shield. Yeah, apparently Jesus is planning on living in this apartment. And, one of my videos is ready. Let me just go ahead and, it's the one for my Patreon supporters. Let me just go ahead and make that unlisted. And I'll get back to that later. Yeah, okay. Here we go. It's like so many things have changed in the past. Oh, let me turn this off. Yeah. Okay. So much has changed in the past 6 months. I've gotten a new computer. I'm on Linux, Ubuntu. I've moved to a new state, a new place. It just, so much has changed. And I've had so much I've had to adjust to. And it's all good change, but it's just a lot of change. And then now Jesus gave me Gail Commandments 2.0, and it's quite an adjustment. And it's keeping me really, really busy. I'm not complaining because I know I'm looking back, Jesus always knows what he's doing. And, but look, I created a new web page where I had an interesting conversation with Rule 13 on our last Discord, which my Patreon supporters have access to. And she was talking about how Lori McBride and Satan are so jealous that Jesus plans on living in my apartment. You say, Jesus plans on living in your apartment? He's omnipresent. He doesn't need to live anywhere. That's true, but apparently he plans on making my apartment his headquarters. And Lori McBride and Satan are convinced that he's having sex with me. Can you believe this? It isn't true. I actually have a conversation about this with, and they're so jealous. You see, the Bible doesn't go into a lot of detail about why Satan rebelled. It just says that he became proud, which is true. But it's a little bit more complex than that. And I think Jesus was waiting for me to show up to explain it better. Because he was afraid that if he tried to explain it with anyone besides me, it would misrepresent him, make him appear like he's a cock blocker or that he's anti-gay or something like that. Because as you can see, that's basically what has happened with traditional Christianity. It's basically they've made Jesus a cock blocker, they've made him appear anti-gay, and he is none of those things. Oh, I hear a drone bird in the background going, Lori's crazy. You might say, Satan is jealous? Yeah, you need to read the transcript that I made of the conversation I had with him. There aren't any living birds on the planet. They're all drone birds. You might say, well, how are we getting chicken and turkey? I'm not sure. They're using some sort of advanced technology where they're able to replicate chicken meat, and so we're still able to eat chicken and turkey and stuff like that. But yeah, Satan and Lori killed all the birds. I'm not sure why. I think it's because Jesus started appearing to me as a bird. In Florida, he appeared as several times. Those of you who've been, especially those of you who are my Patreon supporters, and if you go to my website, just do a search on Jesus as a hawk, a blue jay. He's appeared as a blue jay. He's appeared as a hawk, and I forget. There was another bird. And then Satan didn't waste any time to try to impersonate him. And Satan tried to be a crow and pretend like he was Jesus. But no. Yeah, so I have but as soon as Jesus did that, Satan killed all the birds. Probably, I don't know. It's, Satan... Let me tell you what happened. Satan and Jesus were BFF for millions of years before Satan rebelled. And he misunderstood Jesus. He was BFF with Jesus. And he assumed that meant that he would be able to marry Jesus. And finally, he just went to Jesus and said, okay, Jesus, we've been BFF for millions of years. Isn't it time we get married? And Jesus said, no, I'm not interested in a sexual relationship with you, Lucifer. Lucifer became outraged over that. That Jesus, he said, you mean all these years you've been BFF with me and that wasn't like a type of engagement to get married? And Jesus said, no. And then Lucifer said, I am furious. And he took a third of the angels with him, and I think what he told them was, Jesus practices discrimination against angels because he refuses to have sex with us. That's what I think. And that's why he rebelled. It kind of reminds me, remember Gail's men going their own way when I used to have this huge marriage list? And when they discovered that I wanted to save myself for Brent, they got furious. And they all defected and started even going to bed with Laurie McBride in defiance. Kind of a similar attitude. They don't realize it, but when they did that, they had the spirit of Satan. Because that's exactly what happened to Lucifer. See, so Lucifer probably said, okay, then who are you going to marry? Nobody? The human race had not been created at the time that Lucifer rebelled. So once, I don't know if Jesus even answered that question, but once Jesus created the human race, he figured out that Jesus' bride would be the humans in the human race that would accept Jesus, which is basically his bride is the church. You might say, what about humans before the church? I'm not really sure. This is kind of a complicated subject, but I do believe that God the Father has a wife too, and I believe his wife is the nation of Israel. And he divorced her when she went into idolatry, and also when she rejected Jesus as the Messiah, because Jesus is the Jewish Messiah. But that's not going to be permanent. Anyways, Satan thinks this whole idea of creating humans is stupid. He views humanity as a spite on him. He believes that Jesus created the human race to supplant him as a lover. And that's why he's been trying to destroy the human race and cause us to sin, why he contributed to the fall of mankind by tempting Eve in the form of a serpent. And I think when he caused Eve to fall, he's known about me for a while because he overheard Jesus talking about or boasting about me one time. Jesus states that I am his favorite for all time. Laurie McBride feels that I don't... Can you imagine Laurie McBride is questioning Jesus' judgment? She feels that I am not worthy to be Jesus Christ's favorite and that she should be Jesus Christ's favorite. Can you believe it? See, how do you know this? Because Jesus actually has been doing interviews on Gabriel Chon of Fox News. That's 00 on cable and at my website. He doesn't do very many interviews. And he has said that he wants my followers to only listen to Gabriel Chon of Fox News. But anyways, he said the rest is fake news. Yeah, it's... Yeah. Can you imagine the gall of... Laurie McBride has an emotional IQ that is retard. Her regular IQ is 300, we measured it, but her emotional IQ is retard. And I believe it. I just can't believe that she has the gall to think that she should be Jesus Christ's favorite. She could win the Nobel Prize for murder. A vast and great being like Jesus would. You might say, why does Jesus want to live in your apartment? I actually asked Rule 13 about that. And apparently he just wants to spend time with his favorite in the bride. I'm his favorite in his bride, the church. But he's not going to be having sex with me. I already know that. He's already told me that. You would think Satan would understand that. Satan has an IQ of 450. His emotional IQ is 500. And I personally have been talking about this on my videos to my Patreon supporters. I think he's clinically insane. Yeah. He must understand. He must understand that Jesus is not having sex with me. But I think he's so jealous that it appears his attempts to supplant the bride, which is the church, have failed. You see, you say, why? You might say, I find it hard to believe that Jesus considers you his favorite, and he plans on living in your apartment. And even at the beginning of Gail Commandments 2.0, he describes himself as your husband, and he doesn't plan on having sex with you. Okay, this is because you're thinking three-dimensionally. It's a beautiful ring, and Jesus actually bought this ring. And that's kind of significant. It's actually from Brent Spiner, and Brent wanted to buy it for me. But Brent didn't want to violate the Gail Commandments. And then Jesus said, I'll buy it for you, Brent. You might say, I think part of the reason that Jesus bought this ring is because he considers himself my husband. He's not really making love to me through Brent, but he's the one who chose Brent for me. He made Brent my soulmate. Lord, how can I explain this? Oh, what's really interesting is my IQ, including my emotional IQ, and Brent Spiner and Zach Knight and Rule 13, all four of us, we have an emotional and regular IQ that is over 10,000 right now. In fact, it's so high it can't be measured. And that's why I'm having a little bit of trouble trying to explain to you how I'm not worried about Jesus having sex with me. I'm going to see if I can explain this in a way that people with an IQ in the range of the hundreds can understand. Jesus, I've said this before, but I don't think it's clicking. Jesus does not make love three-dimensionally. He makes love 11-dimensionally. You say, what is that? And this is where Laurie McBride is such a retard. You might say, why does he make love 11-dimensionally? It's because that's the only way that sex is meaningful to him. He doesn't make love through a penis. In fact, I asked him, Jesus, why do you even bother to have a penis? Because you don't need it. You don't use it. And you're not going to be using it to make love to your bride, the church. I mean, it's not really his primary method of lovemaking. The 11th dimension is very hard to explain. You would have to study Michio Kaku's string theory to get a little bit of an idea what it is. But it's very hard to explain. It would be kind of like if an ant was crawling on a piece of paper, you would admit that he's living two-dimensionally. All he sees is the paper, okay? He doesn't see up or down or all 3D. But we see him three-dimensionally. And 11-dimensionally is how Jesus sees us. You say, what is the 11th dimension? It's very hard to explain. Just do a search on the 11th dimension and go to my website and do a search on, maybe check my most recent posts. I will say this much. The 11th dimension shows what's in our hearts. So if you have an ugly heart, if you're full of jealousy, competitiveness, hatred, jealousy, selfishness, pride, you're going to be very ugly to Jesus, because the 11th dimension kind of illuminates our souls and causes them to be visible. In other words, it's like, and it isn't just visible, it's like an intricate intermingling of all aspects of our being, our thoughts, Jesus doesn't see us 3D. He sees us 11-dimensional. Like when he looks at me, he sees a shimmering outburst. Maybe this is the best way, kind of intermingling, going everywhere, expanding out into the universe. And because my heart, he says, I have a beautiful heart, my heart is very shimmery and beautiful, like a beautiful multifaceted jewel going in a zillion different directions. And that's what he sees 11-dimensionally. And when he has sex, all 11 of his dimensions which is actually the 11th dimension, is the expanding universe. We're all part of the expanding universe, but most of our higher dimensions have not been activated, except in those Jesus can trust. And when Jesus makes love, it encompasses the expanding universe. And he intermingles with all the intricacies of the deepest and most intimate parts of our heart and our soul in his lovemaking. That's the 11th dimensional lovemaking. And the orgasm that he experiences is the intermingling of all the intricacies of his vast and great soul with all the intricacies of our vast and great soul, and the commingling occurs 11-dimensionally, totally, thoroughly blended, 11-dimensionally into the expanding universe. That is how Jesus makes love. And that's why I know he isn't going to be making love to me in my apartment. And that's why he describes my apartment as the heart of my home. When he looks at this apartment, he sees what it looks like in the expanding universe. You see, everything 11-dimensionally is part of the expanding universe. So, like me, what you see is like the tip of a huge iceberg. Okay? A huge expanding iceberg. What Jesus sees when he looks at me is the whole iceberg, which extends out into the entire expanding universe. And when he makes love, all 11 dimensions of his expanding universe existence mingles with all 11 dimensions of the expanding universe existence of whoever's in his bride, the church. I don't believe he's going to be fully making love 11-dimensionally with all the members of his bride till after the 1,000-year reign, when when Satan is permanently locked up. You might say, why not? I believe that when Brent and I get his semen as a wedding present for the millennial reign, that Brent and I will experience 11-dimensional lovemaking, but I'm not sure the rest of the bride will have that privilege until after the 1,000-year reign. You say, why is he going to wait so long? Because Satan's going to have one last chance to deceive the human race at the end of the 1,000-year reign. And he's going to get quite a following. Yes, even after Jesus has ruled perfectly for 1,000 years, there will be a major rebellion, and Satan will lead it. After that rebellion, Satan goes to the lake of fire. And then I think every member of the bride will be making love to Jesus, their husband, 11-dimensionally. And that's why I know that Jesus is not going to be making love to me. I mean, it means three-dimensional sex means nothing to him. Like I said, I even asked him why he has a penis, because he doesn't use it for sex. His answers seem to be that it's just to make him relatable to humans. You might say, why did he create a penis and a vagina? I think the purpose for creating that was to give humans a little teeny weeny taste of what 11-dimensional sex is going to be like. Just a little teeny weeny taste. Imagine what it would be like to have an orgasm that is like, okay, like even the best orgasm in the world is like the tip of the iceberg of the orgasm we are going to experience with 11-dimensional lovemaking. So like, if let's say you have a super orgasm with penile vaginal lovemaking, to Jesus that's tame. You might say, I personally don't think our mortal bodies could handle 11-dimensional lovemaking right now. And that's why Brent and I are going to have to wait. And when Jesus gives us his semen, that's 11-dimensional lovemaking. His semen is white, and it glows in the dark, which I find kind of interesting, Because I'm hearing that my Gail shield has turned into the shape of a penis and it's white and glowing. Is it filled with Jesus semen? Yeah. And Lori tried to send a super nukkake to where I live, and the glowing white penis, which is the shape of my Gail shield right now, shot something at her and it flicked it away. Lori McBride, you know what Lori McBride thinks? You know what she thinks about how Jesus makes love? She thinks Satan can only give her an orgasm 666 times. So she thinks if Jesus gives her an orgasm, it'll be 777 times, because 7 is the divine number. What a dunce. And that's what she thinks is like higher dimensional lovemaking. The number of orgasms she gets. So basically, if she gets 777 three-dimensional orgasms in a row, she thinks that's how Jesus is going to make love. First of all, Lori McBride, you've got to understand that Jesus sees you 11-dimensionally. And what he's seeing is pretty ugly. You are very unattractive to him. Because he sees your heart. He sees all the jealousy, the pride, the hatred, the murder. And I don't even know how to illustrate this. It would be like, probably the best way to describe what he sees when he looks at Lori McBride. See, we see her three-dimensionally, and she's so obsessed with her three-dimensional appearance. You know, she uses plastic surgery to try to make herself look hot and all. It's just a waste of time. In the millennial reign, Jesus said our outward appearance will be a reflection of our inward beauty. And he said no amount of plastic surgery is going to be able to fix it. And that's because we're going to be transitioning over to the 11th dimension. So kind of when Jesus looks at Lori McBride, probably what he sees would be like a universe full of sewage. That's probably what he sees when he looks at her. And she probably stinks to high heaven. It probably makes him want to puke. I bet in her 11th dimension, she is a vast, expanding mass of sewage and vomit. That's probably what he sees and smells when he looks at her. Just undulating everywhere like a big, huge blob of vomit and poop. That's what I think he sees and perceives when he looks at Lori McBride. Just poop and vomit going everywhere. And blood and yucky stuff. That's 11-dimensionally, I think that's what he sees. And you think he wants to make love to that? You said, that isn't what I look like. To Jesus, that's what you look like, 11-dimensionally. You say, oh, you just make that up. Nope. I'm not making it up. You stink to high heaven to him. I don't even know how to begin to describe our 11-dimensional appearance. Because it's not 3-dimensional. You see, why did he even bother? Why did he even bother to make the 3-dimensional appearance if it means nothing to him? It's because he wanted to make a minute approximation of what 11-dimensional beauty is like. He didn't want to empower us to have 11-dimensional perception yet, because it would make us too powerful. Even Lucifer never got that much power. Right now, only the deities have that much power. So until Lucifer is locked up, and those who have his spirit are in the lake of fire, this universe will not be experienced 11-dimensionally by anyone, with the possible exception of me and Brent, until after the millennial reign. That's what I believe. The 1,000-year reign. You say, oh, we're in the millennium now. No. No way are we in the millennium now. Anybody who believes that is a retard. You think Jesus is ruling the planet now? Oh my goodness, he'll do a much better job of ruling the planet than this. No, right now Satan has temporary rule. But it ain't going to be forever, Satan. You say, why did Jesus give the planet to Satan? Because this used to be Satan's home. And yeah, it was mineral garden earth. This used to be a mineral garden. It used to be Satan's home. And when Satan caused mankind to sin, he got it back. You say, boy, Jesus must have made a mistake in creating humans to allow that to happen. Well, he's got a really big thing for free will. Because he's really big into true love. And Satan thinks that free will is a stupid idea. If you'll notice, he's a big control freak, along with Laurie McBride. You might say, why does he think free will is a stupid idea? Because he thinks true love is a fairy tale. Anyways, I want to thank you all for this present. And yeah, I still have stuff to do. Once I get this apartment ready the way that Jesus wants, he said he's going to be living here. And apparently it's going to happen. But I still have to go through my files. Once I throw out all the bad files, the stuff I don't need, then I'm going to move them over here besides this dresser. I'll get my digital piano out, and then I've got to order the computer table, and then I'm going to give away this table and give away an ice chest and a tote, because those are things I've been hoarding that I won't need with the new furniture. And then that's going to take a while. I got to go through these files. I've been so busy. Because I have to eat. I got to do the Gail commandments. I got to do my walks. I got to make my weekly YouTube video. Got to do my laundry. I got to dust. I got to vacuum clean. So I'll get there when I get there. But I am making progress. But I basically wanted to thank my Patreon supporters for the presents. And once I get these files pared down, then I am going to, I will order that computer table that's on my Amazon wish list if nobody else orders it. And as long as my men give me permission, I don't want to order it till Jesus says it's okay. And then I'm going to give away this table where my computer currently sits, donate the ice chest, donate the tote. I've pretty much got everything organized the way he wants. I still have stuff I need to throw out, and I got to go through my office stuff, but I've made a lot of progress. So I just want to thank you all. I'm actually glad in some ways that I'm no longer in Florida, because Florida is now getting Gabrielle Chana Fox News, and Florida is a very important state. It's like the third most populous state in the country. So it's good that they're getting the real news right now. You can say, now Alabama's not getting it. Well, Alabama's not as populated as Florida, so. But if they want to, they can go to my website. So I'm really glad that Florida's in the loop now. But thank you. You say, how do you feel about Jesus wanting to live in your home? Well, I'm honored, but I know he won't be having sex with me. I personally think Laurie McBride and Satan are a little insane to think that. They don't understand that he's an 11-dimensional lover. You say, well, maybe he's going to be making love to 11-dimensionally. No. No, he won't be doing that till the millennium. I already know that. You say, well, why does he want to live in your apartment? I think he's kind of like dating his bride, the church, through his favorite in the bride, which is me. It's kind of like dating. And also, Jewish marriage customs in Bible times, the groom would prepare his house for the bride before they consummated the marriage. So I think that's part of it too. Yeah. I think when Jesus decides to live in this house, it's going to be forever. It's possible during the rapture when I go up, this house might go up with me. And that the wedding might take place in heaven from this house. when he marries the bride. And Satan is just so jealous. Satan is trying to supplant the bride. He wants to be the bride. And I don't even think he respects Laurie McBride. I think he's just using her. He's trying to make females repugnant to Jesus because Jesus sees his bride as female. He describes her as a her in the Bible. So yeah, it's just... Satan's just jealous. That's why the latest antichrists have been female. Satan is trying to cause Jesus to dislike females. And he's been trying to get me to sin and to disobey Jesus too. So, you might say, I can't believe if Jesus lives with you, don't you have any sexual desire towards him? Actually, no. Not right now. You say, how can you not have sexual desire for him? He's so hot. He's got perfect abs. He's God. I find the idea of making love to God very intimidating. You might say, do you think he's ugly? Oh, no, I think he's hot. But he's intimidating. I would much rather just make love to my husband, Brent Spiner, which is fine with Jesus, by the way. That's probably why he's choosing to live with me, because he knows how I feel about him. He doesn't have to worry about... If I ever started making love to him three-dimensionally, I can assure you it won't be him. It would be Satan impersonating him. You say, why would Satan want to impersonate Jesus to you? Because then he could say, see, Jesus, she made love to me and liked it. Ha ha, and so should you. Isn't she stupid? How in the world could you want to have a bride like that, Jesus? That's what's going on with Satan. It isn't going to work, Lucifer or Satan. First of all, I don't think you're hot. I think you're ugly. Because I kind of see you 11-dimensionally. And you're disgusting. And Jesus sees you 11-dimensionally. And when he looks at you, he sees vomit, blood, and poop. That's expanding out into the universe. I mean, you stink to high heaven to him. So, yeah. No, I don't want him sexually. You say you're honored to... I don't mind him living me. He accompanies me on all my walks. I love him. I admire him. But I don't want him as a lover right now. Because it would mean I understand him too well. He's not interested in making love to me. It would be like, I don't know. It would be like, maybe the best way to describe it is, to Jesus, making love to me would be like kissing a picture of me on a piece of paper. I mean, that's how he would see it. Love making to Jesus is 11-dimensional, okay? When humans make love to each other three-dimensionally, to Jesus it's like a picture of a male and a picture of a female just getting together and the pictures coming together. That's how he sees it, okay? 11-dimensional is fully orbed. It's all of our dimensions mingling together. So because I know three-dimensional lovemaking means nothing to him, I'm not interested in doing it because I understand him. You might say, are you saying that he doesn't want to make love to you? No. He's even admitted he wants to make love to me. You may say, well, how could you turn him down? Yes, he wants to make love to me as part of his bride, the church, when he does it 11-dimensionally. In the millennium, the future, when I'm in my immortal resurrection body and I can handle 11-dimensional lovemaking. But Jesus is not interested in making love to a picture of me like a piece of paper, which is how he would see 3D sex. Oh, by the way, Laurie McBride, You might say, oh, then maybe he'll make love to a pretty picture of me three-dimensionally. He doesn't see you. You might say, oh, that means a piece of paper. Lori must look pretty on a piece of paper. Yeah, but his piece of paper is like a composite of our 11-dimensional appearance. So yeah, it might be a beautiful artwork for him to look at and to admire, but he doesn't want to make love to a piece of paper. But when he looks at Lori McBride on a piece of paper, he's probably seeing like a monster covered with vomit and poop. That's probably what he's seeing. He doesn't find you attractive at all, Lori. You do not understand him. Yep. You don't understand him at all. You might say, well, so what kind of relationship are you going to have with Jesus in your apartment? The relationship that I'm going to have with him is that I will show that I love him by obeying his commands. The Bible says to obey is better than sacrifice. He's not impressed with anything else we do if we disobey him. So the way I'm going to honor him is by doing Gail Commandments and Gail Commandments 2.0 to the best of my ability. And then you might say, then what's his purpose? He's basically preparing his house for his bride. And I show my love for him by doing the Gail Commandments. You might say, that seems overly simplistic. He's not interested in commingling with you. I think when I do his commands, it activates some of my higher dimensions. And there might be a little bit of commingling there, kind of like maybe hand holding and stuff. And the way I would experience that would be in blessings, financial, health-wise blessings and that sort of thing. But it's nothing near sex, the way he perceives it. And it would be a mistake for me to see it that way. So, yeah. You might say, why is it so important to do his commands to show you love him? Because when you do his commands, it awakens the higher dimensions in us. And he's able to commingle with us. You might say, I don't get it. Why is that so important to him? Because obedience is the opposite of disobedience. See, we fell because of disobedience, because Eve disobeyed, and then Adam went along with it, and they took of the forbidden fruit. So when we obey him, it's like we are countering the effects of the fall. It's like we are countering what Satan did to cause the fall of mankind. And when we counter that, it sets in motion the higher dimensions, which awakens the 11-dimensional lovemaking. And that's why it's so exciting to Jesus. I don't know if I'm making any sense. I understand it, but it's kind of hard to explain. Anyways, thank you all. Everybody needs to do the Gail Commandments. The best way to make love to Jesus is to do Gail Commandments and Gail Commandments 2.0. Because when you do that, you awaken the higher dimensions. It kind of like reverses the sin curse. That's why Jesus likes it. So I'm going to get off. This has been a long video, but I kind of owe you all one because, I've been so quiet because I've been so busy. But thank you for your support. Everybody do the Gail Commandments. That is the best way to make Jesus happy right now. Because it helps to reverse the sin curse that happened to us when we disobeyed God, when the human race disobeyed God and caused the sin curse. Jesus likes it because it reverses the sin curse and starts awakening the 11 higher dimensions.